Joining us for a discussion, Esquimalt 1 Fuca MP, Dr. Keith Martin. Keith, thanks very much for coming back on the program today.
Good morning, Murray.
But let's talk about the HST. This is now surfaced in Ottawa as an issue. What's your take on this, Keith? There's been a bit of wrangling over who supports it, who doesn't, and who should.
Well, when this came out, Murray, I wrote an editorial piece that actually, in the Times columnist, that put a third way forward. So the harmonized sales tax will have some benefits, but my concern is it's going to hurt some major segments of our economy, particularly the restaurant association, the restaurant sector, tourism sector, home building sector, and the service sector. And the people who are going to get hurt the most, of course, are those of modest means. So I thought, is there a better way? And so I developed a plan, which is as follows, that the HST be a true harmonized tax, so it only applies to that which the PST applied to, which means it would not be the increase in tax that we will see with this HST. Secondly, that there be widespread consultation. And thirdly, that it be dropped from 12 to 10%. And lastly, that the incentive package that Mr. Harper has put on the table, which is the silent hand behind all this, be honored for a year, which would give Premier Campbell and his team a chance to consult and develop something better.
Is the timing also an issue? A lot of people said, you know what, okay, perhaps it does have some economic justification. Is right now the time to be doing that?
Well, I think that if you craft something well that's going to be beneficial to the economy, then that can happen at any time is a good time. But the fact of the matter is parts of this is actually going to hurt parts of our economy, and this is definitely not the right time to be doing that because so many people have lost their jobs. So many people are having a hard time financially, and it is definitely not our job to do something that's going to hurt people. So we have a saying in medicine, which is do no harm, and we should apply that to politics too. And in this case, the HST, we shouldn't be implementing an HST that is going to hurt people. Mr. Harper just sort of threw this on the table, and then he's taken off to China, and I think that's very irresponsible not to actually work with Parliament, work with the province, and craft something that is better. So it's not this plan or nothing. It should be a better plan.
The process, the administrative process behind the HST, is it where it needs to be? Do you see a concrete plan in place right now? I mean, we do have the Atlantic model to borrow.
Well, that's a very good point because for your listeners in Atlantic Canada, what they did was they amalgamated the tax, but they dropped it 4 points from 19 to 15%, and they consulted widely. But also, most in the Maritimes or in Atlantic Canada, most of the products already had their provincial taxes applied to. But in our province, that's not the case. So we're going to have a big increase in taxes, and we should not be increasing taxes, particularly at this time we have an economic downturn. I mean, to put it into as an example, our restaurant association has estimated that this is going to cost our restaurants $760 million a year. That's $50,000 per restaurant.
That's huge.
And it means jobs. It means jobs, and it means some of those restaurants are going to go out of business. How on earth, or why on earth, would we do this?
But there is an overarching rationale behind this, Keith. And is there still a grave enough concern that whatever benefits there may be are going to be outweighed by the obvious consumer impacts?
Well, there are going to be benefits, and the estimate is that the benefits will come down 5 to 7 years down the road. And those benefits are obviously good for certain segments of our economy, and I support that. But my question is, can't we craft something better? Can't we craft something that's going to maximize the benefits to certain segments of our economy while mitigating the negative effects that it's going to have on other parts of our economy, as well as folks of modest means? I mean, this is going to apply to home heating, and a number of other basics that people who are already making decisions between rent and food, that's going to make things worse, and that is definitely not something we should be doing, is to hurt people, any people, and we're especially not in the job of trying to increase the unemployment rate at a time when unemployment is already high. So there's also this time lag. So benefits will accrue, but it's going to be a bit downstream. But let's craft something better, and I put out a plan that I think will do that.
And in taking a look at that plan, do you think you could get unified support both federally and provincially from such a plan?
Well, I think it's up to Murray. If they don't like this plan, then for heaven's sakes, come up with something that's better. This is my best effort, and there's a lot of smart minds federally and provincially who know an awful lot more about this than I do. But I would hope that they will take it upon themselves to listen to our folks, listen to our people, and understand that there are people who are going to be hurt. And they can use their great minds to be able to craft something that's going to be better. So we're going to get economic benefits that certainly an HST will have by reducing the tax on the production line of products, but also do it in a way that's not going to hurt people that are already hurting after this economic tsunami has hit us from coast to coast.
And now that we hear people predicting, economists saying, I think we've hit the bottom, we're now starting to see a turnaround, the contraction in our economy is reversed to a positive trend, things are becoming a little more buoyant. The timing, again, I come back to this, having this implemented next year is generally seen as a boon to the economy, but it's going to be fronted by consumers that are already cash-strapped.
That's exactly right. So it'll be burnt offerings, particularly to people of modest means. And this is a terrible Christmas present that Mr. Harper has thrown onto the table before December 25th rolls around.
But something also willingly accepted by the provincial governments here in Ontario too.
That's true. And so the silent hand behind this is that in a time when both provincial governments have large deficits because of this economic tsunami that has hit us, that Mr. Harper has put on the table for our province a $1.6 billion carrot and has said to the province, if you adopt the HST, then you're going to get $1.6 billion. That's a pretty seductive thing. It's a one-time deal. But I hope that Premier Campbell and I hope Mr. Harper will understand that there's a better way. And I hope that Premier Campbell can actually negotiate with Mr. Harper to say, listen, why don't we just not rush into this in the speed with which we're doing, and let's craft something better, which I know they can do.
Well, one of the things that's come up is, and taking a look at Keith's plan, is touched on some crucial aspects here. Home building and the construction sector are very big economic drivers. Taking a look at the threshold at which the HST rebate would apply and where it would not apply, one of the things that came to my mind when I was hearing Colin Hanson, BC's finance minister, talk about this is, well, you know what? I know you have to pick a target somewhere. I'm not sure where they arrived on their preliminary figure, although I know it's been upgraded, is that also has to be a sliding scale, because as real estate values go up, that is going to have to move as well. And that's one of the things that you've highlighted right off the top.
That's right, and there's 2 points actually. The average house price in Victoria is $590,000. The cutoff for the rebate is $560,000. So the average home in Victoria will not, that benefit will not accrue to them. So why don't we have it so that, as you said, you can apply to the first $600,000, and then you can have a sliding scale that proceeds down from that. The other sector that people aren't talking about is the service sector. And in these times when we know that fewer and fewer people will have enough money to retire on, what's going to happen with this tax is that the service charges are going to be increased on the people who are saving. So the more you save, this tax will be applied, and will be taxed heavier the more you save. So this tax is actually going to retard people's ability to have money when they retire, which makes no sense whatsoever. But I've dug my heels into this because I firmly believe that we can't do something that's going to harm folks. And this is not a vote of confidence, too. If you're going to have a true harmonized tax, then harmonize it between that which the GST and the PST apply to. Don't apply to things that the PST doesn't apply to, because what you're doing is that with this tax, you're going to apply to a whole barrel of products that were exempt from PST, and you're going to be raising the taxes, obviously, 7%.
Squamish 1 to Fuca MP, Dr. Keith Martin. Keith, thanks very much for your time today.
Thank you, Murray.
All the best. News to 10:30 is next on Victoria's News Authority, CFAX 1070.